Now we'll be learning CSS box modeling. CSS box modeling is basically providing spaces outside this HTML element or inside this HTML element. So providing spaces outside this HTML element is called margin, and provide spaces inside the HTML element is called padding. We will learn each spacing method one by one. First, let's apply some margin. So here we'll write margin. So let's say we want to make margin on the top. So let's say margin top, and we'll give the value, let's say 30 pixels. Save this, refresh. Now see, 30 pixel of margin is added above our HTML block. We can also give margin to the left, and again let's say 30 pixels. Save this, and you will see a 30 pixel of left margin is added to our element. You can also give margin right, again 30 pixels, let's say. Here you can't see any change because although the margin on the right side is added, but since there is nothing on the right of this element, so you won't be able to notice any change on the right side of this element. So to see this change, we can make another button which will be having same style like this button. So let's make another button with a class, let's say join, and we'll write join here. Save this, refresh. Now you can see 30 pixel of right margin is added here. This new button is formed after this margin is completed. One more concept that I want to teach you here is any element can have multiple classes. For example, this time this has class of join and this has class of subscribe. We can give this join button one more class name. To give that, just write space after the first class name and write the name of second class name. Here it is subscribe. And now if you save this, now this join button has two class names. One is join and another is subscribe. So all the style of subscribe is transferred to this join button also. These are the styles of subscribe, and since this button has a class of subscribe also, so this will also be having all these styles. Refresh the web page. See, exactly ditto. Everything is same. Now one thing that you must have noticed, before applying those styles, the join button was somewhere here. But as soon as we applied the styles of the subscribe element, it did not appear here but rather here. Why so? Because this element has a style of margin right 30 pixel. At this point, this space is the margin of this join button, left margins, sorry, and the left margin of this 30 and 30 pixel of right margin of subscribe button is added here. So this space is combined becomes 60 pixels. Now let's talk about padding. First of all, why padding is important. See here, now we have given the length of this button based on the length of our text inside the button. But here if you see, the length of the text button is small, but the length of button is constant. Why this is happening is because we have fixed the width of our element 100 pixels. No matter what you put inside the button, this width will remain constant. Let me show you what I mean. Now if you write subscribe this page, you will see the width of the button remained constant. Let's write even bigger phrase, subscribe this page, and now, oh, now you can see, now is written below because even the height of this button is fixed. The height is 36 pixel, we cannot do anything. Now to deal with this problem, we usually do not provide width and height to an element. Instead of providing height and width, we provide inner padding. How much space you want above and below the text of the button and right and left of the button. So let's get rid of this. Now here right, padding left, let's say 6 pixels. Since we have removed the height and width of the element, there is no restriction for this button height. So the button is stretching according to the text inside the button. Our padding on the left is not visible, I think. Let's increase for a while to see whether it works or not even. Oh, yep, it works. So I guess 16 pixel is fine. Now, one trick that I want to teach you is you can add padding on each side individually, left, right, top, bottom. But most of the time, our values on left and right is equal, and the value for top and bottom is equal. Sometimes even all the values are equal. For example, in this case, the margin top, left, right, the value for all these margin were 30 pixels only. So instead of writing pixels for each side, we can directly write this by writing margin 30 pixels. It will add margin on all the four sides. Earlier we haven't mentioned about the bottom side. This will also add the margin on the bottom of the element. First of all, let's remove this also. See, everything is at the top. Put the margin, save, refresh. See, we have not written the margin for individual sides. Just given the margin 30 pixel added to all the four sides. Similarly, for the padding, we can do padding 16 pixel and it will add on all the four sides. Save, refresh. See, but this does not look good because here we want the padding on this side to be equal, but we do not want same padding on top and bottom. We are sure that we want the padding on top and bottom to be equal, but not, I mean, to be equal but not same as left and right padding. So even for that we have solution. I want to tell you one thing, that if you give only one argument to this property, to this padding property, this argument will be treated as padding for all the sides 16. Now, if you give two argument, let's say 8 pixel and 10 pixel, then this first value will be treated as the padding on top and bottom, and the second value will be treated as padding on left and right. Save this, refresh. See, on the top and bottom, the padding is 8 pixel, and on left and right, it is 16 pixels. Now, first of all, let's remove this extra text. Save this. Now, I think we are almost exactly same as what we had earlier. But this time, we did not use hide and width property. Instead, we achieved the same thing by using padding and margin. This was all about box modeling. And to see the box modeling, you can inspect in the page. Let's inspect this subscribe button. Now here, if you can see the orange box that is forming around this button is our margin, which is 30 pixel that we have added. This is our text, and above and below the text is our padding, this blue that you can see it here. So to see that, click on this. This is the size of our text. This is our padding. See, 8 pixel on top, 8 pixel on bottom, 16 on left, 16 on right. Our border, we have set the border to none. You can see here. See, our border is none. That's why there is no width for border. And we have set the margin to 30, 30, 30. And same will be for this also. See, this was all about the box modeling.